Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Here we are, Casual Fridays with three of my most favorite people on the planet. And I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves. We'll start in order with Michelle, giving you a chance to rip it open and get us going this morning. Michelle, welcome to Casual Fridays.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name is Michelle Johnson. I'm based out of Sherwood Park, Alberta. A little bit about me. I'm a mom of two. I have a almost 30-year-old and a 21-year-old, and both amazing, very independent young women. And I'm an empty nester, so that's kind of cool. But I also, I have an event planning business. And with COVID, of course, things have come to a grinding halt. But with that, with my past experience as an executive assistant, as well as a project manager, I've been doing a lot of administrative work for people I've worked with in the past. And so now I'm actually putting myself out there with executive virtual assistants. And there's actually been quite a bit of a demand in this time with COVID. So it's been, doing well for me. So that's
awesome,
me.
Michelle. Great to have you here all the way from Sherwood Park. And I am very curious about your talents, skills, and possibly us working together. So I'm watching you this morning.
Oh, great. Put me on the hot seat.
There you go. Lisanne, how will you go next?
Sure, I would love to. Thank you for having me on your Casual Friday Talks. To introduce myself a little bit, I am a mother of four, wife of one. I am traditionally working in the aviation industry in learning and development in airport operations. My career also has come to a very slow crawl in this COVID pandemic. So hoping to be back at it soon, but really enjoying the time spent at home. I feel a little bit like an empty nester too, as my husband is in his office most of the time and my kids don't come out of their rooms very often. So I don't know if I like it or not, but
sounds like you own the entire house and you like run the entire program and have everybody quarantined. What's going on over there? I'm just kidding. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark, bring us home.
Adam, thanks for having me on your highly touted and very popular Casual Fridays. I've been waiting for this invitation for a long time, but you kept not inviting. Starting to get a little offended, but
I'm glad I could fit into your busy schedule. Thanks for making time for us.
Whatever. I leave this space open every week, hoping Adam will play. But no, it's really great to be with you guys today. And a little background on Clark. I've got four lovely daughters, three of them married, and a couple of them having our grandkids, which is fantastic. So two little grandsons and one granddaughter. Four sisters. Female dog, female cat. So I've been surrounded by women my whole life, which is wonderful. And I think kind of giving me a bit of a different perspective on life with living with women. I think I could write a book, but that's for another day. My day job is the CEO of Rainmaker Global Business Development, which is an international market entry firm. We help companies move into markets around the world. So we've actually gotten quite busy in 2020. And I came back and joined Rainmaker in February of this year before COVID hit. And then COVID has sort of actually grown our business as we help a lot of Canadian companies go into markets around the world. So quite busy, which is I'm thankful for, but also tied very closely to the events community, having been a CEO of the Convention Center in Calgary and the chair of Meetings in Business Calgary, Meetings in Business Canada. Michelle, know a lot of planners across the country and really trying to advocate for that community and how important it is to the economy of Canada. So that's enough about me. I just keep going at them, but I'll let you talk to you.
Well, you're like all the people on this call, very accomplished, and there's lots for you to share. But I appreciate each of you being succinct. So thank you. Has everybody got a cup of coffee? Yeah? We're good to go?
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. So as we get into it, what's been fun this week? The fun thing for me has been I've got my oldest daughter came home from Toronto.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's been awesome hanging out with her. And yeah, what's been fun in your week? What this week has been fun? Who wants to jump in? What fun thing happened this week? We
Well,
got
Adam-
enough of the serious stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the world is in a serious right now.
Yeah.
So lightening it up. What's been fun for you guys?
Adam, my youngest daughter is looking at law schools, so she's.
That doesn't sound like fun, dude. That sounds expensive.
Totally. Seriously, but it's been fun to watch her go through the process of trying to figure out, this one, that one. Like just watching that, like she's 20 years old, looking at that, and just to watch them sort of cycle through the thought process of, an experience here, experience there, school there, school there. I find that fascinating with my kids, and I enjoy watching them sort of, go through the pain and
And explore.
the fun of trying to make life decisions. It's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for you. That's awesome. That's so great. Ladies?
I think for me this week, some great things that have happened have included my daughters. So our oldest daughter did come home from Toronto for the week, which has been wonderful, as I miss her terribly, and she has been actually employed consistently, even more than full-time during COVID, as she was working in an emergency dental clinic. So I guess people still have lots of emergencies and things needing attention in that industry, and when all the dental offices are closed, the emergency clinic is open. So I haven't had a lot of opportunity to be with her, whether it be virtually because she's so far away. So it's been really wonderful having her, and we've done lots of fun, interesting things. The second thing that happened this week for me was our youngest daughter is graduating this year. So with COVID, there's obviously a little hiccup in those plans. And our daughter, who is pretty strong-willed and a leader, has organized 4+ of her friends and the mothers of those friends to try and put something together that will fall within the regulations and will still be allowed to celebrate in true grad fashion with their dresses and hair and makeup and dance and dinner and all those things. So I have met 3 other really great moms, and I look forward to kind of pursuing that relationship as we're all connected in some way. Someone posted today, we have a group chat going on text, and it's very polluted with young girls commenting constantly. So if you don't have your phone in your hand constantly, then you miss the communication because the girls text so much. So you're scrolling to find the information. So one mom suggested that we should just have a parent group, and after the grad thing is done, then we'll just carry on communicating with our adult things. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Sounds like a fun event to plan.
Mm-hmm.
Fun,
And that leads right into
stressful.
I guess it's my turn. So for fun, I've had actually a couple different fun things happen. I think the highlight for me is it's been really nice weather-wise here, and I was sitting out on my deck and I could hear the ice cream truck.
What?
And I'm like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
really far away. And I just kept listening, and it's like, oh, he's getting closer. And I went running out my front door, and I caught him just as he was about to leave my neighborhood. And I'm like yelling, no, stop. And I went and got ice cream. But of course, it brought all the neighbors out. And so as I got my ice cream and I was walking around the truck, my neighbor came out with her 2-year-old, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, I've got ice cream. And this little girl got so excited. And so she had her first trip to the ice cream truck. So that was really cool. I was surprised they were out with COVID. So that was great. And then another thing, I went for a walk with a girlfriend of mine, and it was really strange. She's like, oh, do you want to go for a walk through this cemetery? And I'm like, I'm not sure about that one. She says, no, it's really beautiful. And I'm like, okay. And so we actually walked through this cemetery, and it was amazing. They had sections where if it was the Korean culture, and that's where all those sites were, it was decorated in Korean theme, and same with the Ukrainian theme. And it was just so surreal walking through there. And as we were walking through, she started reading some of the stones, and she says, "Oh, that's a really unusual name." And she says, "You know, when I decide to have a baby, I think I'm going to come for a walk through here, and then I can find a name for my baby." And I'm like, okay. So yeah, just silly fun.
I think you guys have stumbled onto something. That's an interesting practice,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And cemeteries, when I was a kid, there was a cemetery by where we lived, and I was growing up in Peterborough at that time, and it was built on a hill. And in the winter, it was one of the best places to toboggan. And that's where I also learned how to snowboard.
Oh,
Because
wow.
you would stand on the toboggan and you'd have to navigate around the tombstones.
Yeah, well, I was really surprised because they have these beautiful walkways, like cement walking paths to walk through the cemetery. And it was really surreal walking through there, the beauty that they've created there. I'm really amazed. So,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
Really interesting. I don't know. Clark, next time we meet,
I have to start walking through cemeteries.
we could find a cemetery to go for a walk in,
Yeah, I think so.
right? That's kind of interesting.
But, I mean,
for that, Michelle.
we walk through downtown Calgary. It's pretty close to the same. Kidding, everyone, kidding. But it feels that way sometimes, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's felt like a ghost town for the last few months.
Right. Where unlike out in our neighborhood, when we go for walks on the nice days, it's busy. There's guys and gals on bikes and skateboards and rollerblades and families with their strollers and dogs and even cats. Like, it's awesome. What is it like that in your neighborhoods when you go for a walk and it's like a beautiful evening, or how does that look?
Yeah, it's been like that quite a bit around here too, Adam. Like walking in the suburb, if you will.
Yeah.
Now downtown's picking up a lot in Calgary, but a month ago, we have an engineering office just around the corner, really here. See engineers walking all the time, and the neighborhood. The neighbors are out walking all the time, and yeah, I think I don't see anybody walking their cats, like you said, but I don't know.
Well, I know two people that Lisa and Melissa, both walk their cats. Yeah.
Is that a thing?
It's something to do. It takes forever, apparently, and it doesn't go very far.
we put ours on a leash in the backyard, but we don't ever actually walk her.
It's the new thing, dude. Get out there, entertain the people. They love it.
I think that's something you have to train them to do from a very young age, because I've tried putting a cat on a leash and they just want to play with the leash. They don't really want to go anywhere. So.
We had the funniest thing when our cat was a kitten. We tried it. We put her one of those not a leash, but harness on her.
Yeah.
And we put it on her. We put it on, and she would just go limp and just lay there until you took it off. She wouldn't move. It was weird, and she was every single time. It was hilarious. We should have had a video of it. We didn't, but we should have a video.
You could have dragged it down the sidewalk.
You'd be totally like that. It wouldn't be seen very favorably, I don't think, by a lot.
No, probably not.
It sounds like those videos, when they yell at goats and the goat falls over and is like super stiff, like it doesn't know what to do.
Totally. It was exactly it. That was her. It was hilarious. For years. Awesome.
That's awesome. Hey, speaking about cats and going limp, let's talk about the travel industry.
Nice segue, Adam.
Yeah. So our daughter traveled from Toronto to Calgary this week. And I was super curious about her air travel experience, what it was like at the airport, what it was like on the airplane, all of that stuff. Have any of you either been on a plane lately or been with somebody who has been on a plane, and what have the stories been like anecdotally? Lisanne, I know you have.
Yes. So, yes, our daughter flew in this week domestically. So she was flying within Canada. So there are no quarantining procedures that have to happen due to that. The experience that I have heard from coworkers and other airline friends and our daughter is that the atmosphere in an airport is like the downtown Calgary atmosphere right now, very stark, like a ghost town. It's, usually in the size of airport that Calgary is a very dynamic place and busy all the time. When I went to the airport to pick up our daughter, I was shocked to find out, after only being, not or laid off for a few months, was that a number of the different wings in the airport had closed. So I was running down to get into the door where we would normally pick her up for our airline, and it was locked, and I had to continue running down the sidewalk to find the only door that was open. So they have really kind of compressed that airport because all of the airlines are not operating at full capacity. The experience that she had on the plane, again, was something interesting, and I had been aware of some of the procedures that are currently in place. They're taking your temperature before you get on board. If you have a temperature, you're denied boarding. If you don't, you're good to go. When you walk on board the aircraft, you are given hand sanitizer or sanitary wipes to wipe down your area where you'll be seated. You're to wear a mask at all times unless having a snack or a drink. There's no food or drink service on board, just the small things like a bottle of water and the packages of snacks that they typically serve. And the plane's capacity was carrying only a fraction of the amount of people. I would say maybe a quarter at best of the people that it could hold, and the flights had dropped dramatically. Typically where there might be over 10 plus flights a day, they're down to 4, and then a quarter of the aircraft is full. And it was just kind of another wow. Like, even being in the industry, you don't really understand how hard it has impacted you or your company. And in a way it is kind of sad, and in a way it's a little bit inspiring that they're still managing to pull things together to have people be able to get to where they need to go, because life didn't stop just because COVID happened. People are still needing to get to places to be with family for a ton of reasons. So yeah, that's my experience of it.
How about you guys? Any airline stories or travel stories? Or would you even, after listening to our daughter, I think there might be a hell of an opportunity to travel by airplane. Could be. I've never seen it be so comfortable. No lineups, no security issues. Every seat is like a plus seat.
Well, I'm kind of jealous because my daughter was supposed to be coming in from Hamilton last week. Her flight ended up being canceled. But she had said even if it hadn't been canceled, she was not comfortable with sitting on a plane for 4 hours with a bunch of strangers to come here. So she was a little bit nervous about it. So unfortunately, I don't get to see her. But once things open up a bit more, she'll come out. But I did, my youngest daughter works for a family, and they go to Ontario for the summer every year. And they had posted on Facebook their daughter in the Edmonton airport. And it is this one little girl who's like 4 years old, and the rest of the airport is empty.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's amazing. Well, Adam, there's a ton of really good deals from Cancun right now. Actually, we were talking about that last night, talking about it.
No, there's opportunity if you're brave.
For sure, if you're willing to do it. It's fascinating. I sit on the Canadian Tourism Roundtable that is chaired and started by the CEO of Air Canada, and Ed Sims is on it too, Lisanne. But we met yesterday and we talked about, and there's so much consternation and pressure in that room. Like, everybody is just to look at these titans of industry you know, almost broken down. Like just, it's pretty sad. But Kaylin said, I always forget Kaylin's last name. I don't know why, but it starts with an R. The CEO of their company, saying, you know, they can fly. It's no problem flying. They can fly people into the States. They can't fly Americans here. I think that's the way it works, Lisanne. And you know, so there are, you know, there are flights out there, like Lisanne said, but they're not being used very much. And the biggest thing is trying to get people to be confident. You know, to your point, Michelle, your daughter not feeling like she's safe on a plane, and that's going to be the biggest hurdle for us, I think, in this changing. And you're right; it's the right question, Adam. Would I hop on a plane right now? I might. You probably would. We're kind of a bit that way.
Yep.
But you know, a lot of people, and you know,
You just don't feel comfortable.
I do. Michelle, my daughter who's 20 is quite the opposite. She would jump on a plane, go anywhere. Like she feels like she's invincible. So you know, I guess it's everybody's going to have their own opinion on what risk they're willing to take, or if they think they're even taking a risk, right? Because the airline is doing an amazing job, from what I see, on making sure that everything's clean and you're safe and you're distant. And I don't know.
Yeah, she had a great experience.
Yeah.
And
You know, I'm
very well looked after.
Yeah, and I'm finding even, you know, just even with get-togethers, like not even necessarily flying, but everybody is sort of at their own level. And some people are very comfortable now with, you know, things being lifted and going out and, you know, getting back into the world. And other people have a lot of anxiety about it. And I think, you know, we all have to be very respectful of where people are at. I'm doing a wine night with some friends, and my girlfriend put the invite out, and after she put it out, she then posted like, I'm actually having a lot of anxiety around this. And she says, so, you know, I hope everybody's comfortable, but we're going to sit out on my deck and I'll have some, you know, munchies, but, you know, I'll give you paper towels that you can use to take it. And, you know, you're allowed to go in my house and use my bathroom, but we're all going to be sitting 6 feet apart. And it's a big step for her to start bringing people around again. She's, you know, having a lot of anxiety around it, and we all have to be respectful of that, because everybody is in their own, when they're ready, they'll be ready. And it's just being mindful of other people through this.
Yeah, I think it's penguins off the iceberg. You know, if you jump off, we watch what happens. It creates confidence for the group. No, it's just a natural human thing. It's not a criticism of those that want to stay on the iceberg, for sure. I don't think anybody wants to push anybody off, but we are all kind of waiting to see. And Ashley, our daughter, taking her courage and jumping on a plane and doing it, it was inspiring. It was inspiring to hear how the airline treated it, how the TSA treated it, how her experience was, and gave me confidence. Doesn't mean that anybody should or that's the best way, but it was just like, and as you said, Clark, you and I are kind of given, that's in our nature, right? I'm willing to take it on. So it doesn't mean everybody has to, or that it's disrespecting anybody. Yeah.
Adam, if Ashley be willing to tell her story of that on a video, it'd be amazing. I think so many people are asking that exact question. And even with this group yesterday, they were talking about, let's get a bunch of political leaders and business leaders to get on a plane and do a multiple stop, you know, trip across the country, right? And walk through what it feels like in an airport, how the process happens. But that's fine. But frankly, Ashley's story would probably be more powerful and more meaningful to so many more people. Anyway, that's just an idea. But
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear her tell her story. And she's probably, knowing her parents, she's probably kind of shy, but
a little demure. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Hey, as we go through this, I want to change gears and go to a little section I call Pick One. You don't have to justify it, but I'm going to give you 2 choices, and you have to pick one. Okay? Mountains or beaches?
Do we just go beaches?
Yeah, beaches.
Oh, I'm
My
on the fence.
My pick is Kelowna because it has both.
Oh,
Peter.
there. Michelle?
I like that. I like that. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say mountains.
Okay, cool. Forest or prairie?
Forest.
Forest.
Forest. Okay, interesting. We all live in Alberta. Um,
I'm from
big,
the prairie.
We have both in Alberta.
big urban cities or little towns?
City.
Yeah, city.
I'm from a small town. I love the city, but there's something really quaint about a small town. So
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's
I
real
think
difference.
it's just dependent.
Okay, resorts or VRBO? Do you know what VRBO is? Vacation rental by owner. Like it's more independent versus an all-inclusive resort. Which way do you go?
VRBO.
Depends who I'm with. True.
But I got it. But you can only pick one. I don't need your justifications.
Resorts.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go resort too.
Okay, cool. Winter or summer?
Summer.
Um,
Summer, yeah, because we're all in it, and it feels so good right
You
now.
had a,
Would you rather a warm, cloudy day or a sunny, cold day?
Sunny, cold day.
sunny, cold day.
Yeah, I think sunny, cold day.
Interesting. No judgments, just interesting.
I notice you're not weighing in on these.
Yeah.
Your face is judging us, Adam. Come on.
I can't help it.
I know.
Last one. Work from an office or work from home?
Office. Absolutely.
Is there a hybrid?
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that, but you can only choose one. Work from home or work from an office.
I love working from home.
Yeah, I think I'll say office, Adam, but it's a really 51-49 for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that is kind of the closing conversation today is where do you think this is all going? Because we've all now had the experience of working from home or being at home and working, and the office environment has been missing for a lot of people. And there's a whole notion, there's a real interesting dialogue happening right now about, do we stay working from home? Do we go back to the office environment? Michelle, do we create a hybrid? Like, what do you guys think? Where do you, personally, where do you think this would go? I love working from home. I freaking love it, but I do miss the people interaction. So I need that piece put back in.
I see it as a bit more of a hybrid, and I think a lot of companies, or not a lot, but some companies were going that way anyway, where they have more of, their office space is basically, it's like rent an office almost, where, people are able to work from home, but if there's something they're required to be in the office for, they come in and they don't have an assigned desk. It's like, okay, this desk is available and that's what you can use for the day. I see a lot of companies seeing an opportunity to reduce some of their overhead. Through having this opportunity. Like, if you want to look at the positive of what's been going on, is that I think a lot of companies are realizing they have a lot of overhead because they have all these people coming into the offices, and having people working from home and seeing that they're still able to function and still get everything done. I think they're going to really look at how they can reduce some of their overhead costs to actually still keep them viable in the economy. And the other thing I see too is working from home. I think a lot of employers are seeing that, they maybe have employees that are working, they're paying them for 8 hours a day, but working from home, they're much more productive and they don't necessarily need them for 8 hours a day. So they can get a lot better productivity out of their people, and their people can have that work-life balance.
Interesting. Lisanne, Clark, what do you think?
I would agree a lot with Michelle. I think I see, of course, the virtual platform becoming a larger part of business. Personally, I do love the dynamic of the office environment. I love the collaboration. That's a part of kind of what makes me tick. I find it inspiring and engaging, and I find sometimes my results for whatever project I'm working on are immediate. And sometimes working from a home office, it's a little bit disjointed for me, you know, because you can't walk over and connect with that person about a thought or idea immediately. That being said, you know, there are all of these like virtual platforms that are being utilized right now that could really fill that gap. And I definitely see our industry training, you know, we have done a lot of instructor-led training where we're in a classroom working on either technical or soft skill aspects with people. And I think what we're realizing is that some things still need to be face to face. You can't get away from that, but there are opportunities to hold things in a virtual capacity, which do reduce the bottom line at the end of the day. If you're not filling a classroom and bringing people in and you have all of these additional outside costs, it can be really effective for the business and bottom line.
Brilliant answer. Wow.
That's just smart.
Yeah, she's smart.
Both smart. They're both smart.
Probably
Right?
makes really good choices in marriage too. Anyway.
We can talk about that one later. No, really, really interesting, good comments from both of you ladies. You know, it's interesting. A couple perspectives on this. I guess when you're talking about, there's almost like three buckets. There's work from home, work from an office, work in the field. And if you work in the field, there's not going to be really a stay-at-home option, right? You have, like Lisanne, you know, flight attendants have to go on down the plane, and so they're never going to have that. But if you talk about an office worker, I really think we're going to see a couple things. One, a hybrid for sure, where you have some mix of in the office, not in the office, depending on what the job is. Because I've heard of comments as well, is if your job is a process-oriented job, you probably don't need to be at the office that much. You're doing certain things over and over, and you can pretty much do it anywhere. Those jobs, I think, will have a lot more of a hybrid towards working remotely. But those ones that have a creative piece, like you're saying, Lisanne, that ability to bump into colleagues and create and rethink or change your have a creative element to it or a strategic element to it, they're dying to get back together, I think. So I think those ones will have some sort of office meeting, but maybe it's not an office, maybe it's something else. That's the other thing that starts to open up is where it could be. But the other part of it, Adam, that I think we're going to see dramatically is the rise of the gig economy. So and Michelle, you're a perfect example. You have multiple clients that you work certain hours or certain projects for them. That's where I think we're going to go, and I think that's going to permeate to a lot of different industries now, where you bring in a consultant or a project manager or whatever that looks like to do a certain element. It may not be just it may not be contained to a time. Like Michelle, some of your clients probably are perpetual, like they're just they can be going for years and years and years. But they sort of adjust the flow and the demand. So I think I think all these dynamics are going to, frankly, totally change how we work. And you've touched on it, your ladies, but I think there's a lot of change coming our way. But if you want to put it into one word, it's definitely hybrid.
Well, there you go. I think that's the popular opinion, and I want to thank you all from working from home this morning and dialing in on a casual Friday. It's been super enjoyable, massively informative. This is by far, I'm not saying this because you're the group right now, but this has been the most intellectually provocative.
Oh yeah.
You guys are brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed today. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Thanks, Lisanne.
Bye, everyone.